from the Bay Area's local news station. You're watching KRON 4 News at 6.
Your children should get this vaccine, and they should get it as soon as is practical.
It is the news many families across the country have been waiting for. Children ages 5 to 11 are now officially eligible to get Pfizer's COVID vaccine. Good evening and welcome to KRON 4 News at 6. I'm Pam Moore.
And I'm Ken Wayne. The CDC director gave final approval for the vaccine just hours after a panel signed off on the FDA's approval of the vaccine for children.
KRON 4's Dan Kerman has been talking to Bay Area infectious disease experts, and he joins us live from San Francisco now with more. Dan.
Well, that's right. You know, the Western States Advisory Panel still has to sign off on this, at least for the folks here in California. But still, we could see jabs in arms, young arms that is, before the weekend arrives. Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children is being shipped out. And now that a CDC panel and the CDC director have signed off on the vaccine, it's possible kids could be getting their first jab before the weekend.
Even though the risk of COVID is low, it's not zero, and you want to keep them as safe as possible. So this enables you to have a shot such that that's out of the equation, that worry about it.
Bay Area infectious disease experts say protecting kids from COVID is not a joke. They say there have been 2.8 million COVID cases in children so far in the U.S., 8,300 hospitalizations, and 90 deaths of 5 to 11-year-olds.
I think that withholding this vaccine from children is not the right move. You're taking a risk with your child. You're taking a risk of hospitalization, taking a risk of severe disease, and at the end of the day, you're taking a risk of death.
Infectious disease experts say getting your kids the vaccine also provides additional benefits.
Second is to prevent transmission to others as we work and live in multi-generational ways. And then the third is complete normalcy for children, because we've had a lot of restrictions on children's lives with schooling. And the same for all of us. The more people we get vaccinated, the more we get back to normal.
While in rare instances, these vaccines have caused myocarditis and inflammation of the heart muscle in older teens, infectious disease experts say that's not a reason to hold off on the vaccine.
It's an exceptionally rare complication. It's on the order of 4 per 100,000 doses or so. And it starts and it drops off as the farther you get away from 16 to 17.
Now, typically this 2-shot Pfizer vaccine is given 3 weeks apart, but the 2 infectious disease experts we spoke with recommend waiting a little bit longer. Dr. Gandhi says maybe 8 weeks in between the vaccine. Dr. Rutherford says maybe 4 weeks between the vaccine, the first and the second. They say this is mostly because it will provide greater efficiency down the line. They say this is a conversation you should have with your pediatrician to see what works best for you. Live in San Francisco, Dan Kerman, KRON 4 News.
Thank you. The approval process for the younger age group has happened in less than 2 weeks. Here's the timeline. On October 22nd, providers submitted vaccine requests to California to have the doses needed for the 5 to 11-year-olds. On the 26th, an FDA advisory committee approved the Pfizer vaccine for that group. The agency authorized the emergency use of the vaccine last Friday. Today, the CDC Advisory Committee approved the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. And now that the CDC has given the final approval, it could be available starting tomorrow or Thursday.
So now all of this news will no doubt cause a lot of children to have questions about this. That is why elementary school students in San Francisco got a chance to ask a doctor some important questions about the vaccine.
KRON 4's Hazik Madioun listened in on that event and has that part of our coverage.
I get the shot, can I still get COVID?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
With the inevitability of COVID-19 vaccinations being approved for children ages 5 to 11, the San Francisco Unified School District asked these Malcolm X Academy Elementary School 4th and 5th graders to come up with their own questions about the vaccine.
This little piece of it, I'm going to give it to the immune system.
UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital pediatrician Dr. Daniel Woolridge had the tough job of answering these important questions.
Will we have to get the vaccine?
With that emergency use authorization, we cannot mandate that you do get vaccinated from a scientific standpoint, but we can strongly encourage it.
If I don't get the shot, can I still go to school?
Yes, even if you do not get the shot, you may still attend school.
In addition to composing their own questions, the students listed them in order of importance. This one was among the top.
How do you know the vaccine won't hurt kids?
The reason why we have had all of this testing right now in the background, with the FDA really giving all of us the data that they have been looking at, and Pfizer giving us all the data that they've been gathering with their vaccine, we've been doing that, and we've been actually prolonging out, and we would really decide on if it's available to ensure that it is safe.
Hazik Madyoun, KRON 4 News.
Right now at KRON4.com, you can get the latest information on the coronavirus. Just scan this QR code and it will take you directly to our website where you can find all of our COVID coverage. A mysterious shooting with no known motive. It happened over the weekend when an Oakland father was shot in the face in his home while he was holding his baby.
Tonight, he is in stable condition and awaiting another surgery after this weekend incident. KRON 4's Philippe Jagal talked with his husband, who fears that this was a hate crime.
Confusion and anger and fear.
Those are the emotions Jimmy has struggled with since Saturday night. That's when he says someone fired at least 10 rounds into his West Oakland home. It happened on Peralta Street. One of the bullets hitting his husband in the face while holding their 5-week-old daughter. He was standing just a few feet away from their 4-year-old daughter, watching television in the living room. Jimmy was making kitchen at the time. He has requested we blur his face and not share his husband's name while Oakland police continue to search for the shooter.
When I secured the girls, I ran over to him and noticed that he was lying face down in a pool of blood and his teeth were all over the floor.
Jimmy says the baby suffered a few abrasions on her face, but her injuries do not appear to be serious. He says his 4-year-old daughter is emotionally traumatized. The Oakland Police Department has not indicated whether or not this case is being investigated as a hate crime, but Jimmy cannot explain any other reason that may have motivated the shooting other than them being targeted because they are a gay couple.
I can only think of, maybe somebody seeing us or, not happy having us in the neighborhood. I don't know. And I'll probably, unless they catch somebody up, I'll be playing that game for the rest of my life.
Meanwhile, his husband is preparing for a second surgery Wednesday. The couple has been together for 16 years. Philippe Jagal, KRON 4 News.
Tonight, Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs III is facing a DUI charge after a deadly crash in Las Vegas early this morning that left a woman dead.
Yeah, the team released a statement saying that they're devastated by the loss of life. Declined to make any other comment, though. KRON 4's sports reporter Kylan Mills joins us with details on what happened. And Kylan, what's next?
Pam and Ken, this news rocked the sports world this morning. Ruggs' NFL career was just taking off. He leads the Raiders in receiving yards this season. Now his future is uncertain, and more importantly, police say a woman lost her life and another woman is in the hospital. The crash happened early this morning. Las Vegas Metro Police say Ruggs was driving his Chevy Corvette on Rainbow Boulevard when he rear-ended Toyota RAV4. That collision caused the Toyota to catch fire. Police say firefighters found a woman dead inside of the Toyota. Reportedly, a female passenger in Ruggs' car was taken to the hospital. Police say Ruggs was there when they arrived and he appeared to be impaired. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Court records show that Ruggs faces charges of DUI resulting in substantial bodily harm and reckless driving with death or serious bodily harm. Ruggs was the Raiders' first pick in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. He has 424 receiving yards this season. The Raiders released a statement saying that they are praying for the victim's family and will not provide further comment while information is being gathered. Prominent Vegas attorneys David Shenoff and Richard Schoenfeld released a statement saying, quote, "On behalf of our client, Henry Ruggs III, we are conducting our own investigation as of this writing and ask everyone to reserve judgment until all of the facts are gathered," end quote. The name of the woman who died has not been released. Ruggs could face 2 to 20 years in prison if convicted. As for the Raiders, Hunter Renfrow is the next man up at wide receiver, and sports director Jason Dumas will explain more about how this could affect the team coming up in sports in just a bit. Back to you.
Thank you, Kylan. KRON 4 is your local election headquarters, and today we are following several local elections here in the Bay Area, as well as some high-profile elections across the nation, which could affect the national political landscape.
Our Grant Lotus joins us now live in the studio. He's tracking all of these races for us tonight. Grant.
Good evening, Ken. Good evening, Pam. It may not be a high-profile national election day, but some of these smaller local elections are really where voters might be able to make the biggest and most direct impact on their lives. So, a little quick rundown of the local races in the Bay Area. In case you haven't voted yet, you do have until 8 o'clock tonight, so there is still time. All right, we'll start in Marin County, where there is one town council seat up for grabs in Tiburon. Voters there choosing between the 4 names you see on your screen. In Santa Clara County, there are 2 school district taxes that require a simple yes or no vote. Those are both parcel taxes in the Berryessa Union School District and the Los Gatos Union School District. In Sonoma County, there are 3 spots up for grabs tonight. The first is between the 3 names you see on your screen, all running for the Sonoma City Council. In this race, you can only vote for 1 candidate. Then these 3 are running for Community Services Director jobs. In this race, you can vote for up to 2 candidates. And then up along the Sonoma coast, these 4 are running for the Timber Cove County Water District Director. Water, obviously a hot topic right now, still in a drought. In this race, you can pick up to 3 names on the ballot. Meanwhile, in San Mateo County, a simple yes or no vote for the ballot here on Measure B. That would continue a parcel tax that is already in place for the Menlo Park School District. And there's Measure A. In Woodside, there, a yes or no vote would allow people in some residential areas that are used for art and culture to have parking changes. And finally, the city of Santa Cruz has one thing on the ballot, and that is whether residents will pay for a children's fund to help pay for things like childcare and after-school programs, as well as other things. And we're also keeping an eye on the Virginia governor's race, as it could provide us with a preview of what could be coming in the midterm elections next year. You have the incumbent Democrat Terry McAuliffe. He's running against Republican Glenn Youngkin, who has been endorsed by former President Donald Trump. McAuliffe has campaigned with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Most polls have shown a very close race. San Jose State political science lecturer Donna Crane says while the outcome could be an indicator of what is to come in next year's midterms, there are other factors at play.
So Virginia is unusual. In Virginia, New Jersey elect their governors and their legislators in off years, and almost always they tend to favor the party that's not in the White House. So, that is just sort of the tendency and the tradition. So I would say that we could maybe take some lessons, but it's not a perfect prediction of what's going to happen nationwide next year.
Polls in Virginia have closed. We're still waiting on the results. The Republican Youngkin with an early lead. The latest numbers having the challenger with the lead, but Kenny hang on, and they haven't counted all the votes, and it is considered still too close to call. Ken, Pam, that's the latest. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Grant. And coming up at 6:30, we're going to continue our election coverage by speaking with our political analyst, Michael Yockey, about the other big races that are happening across the country.
Also ahead, details about the new ambassador program launched today in San Francisco to try and improve safety in high traffic areas in the city.
But first, streets marked by burned rubber. Why San Jose police failed to shut down a weekend sideshow that lasted for hours.
Another quick passing system to bring us some nighttime rain showers in the forecast. Looks okay for the weekend, and then it gets real interesting into the following week. Your forecast is next. KRON 4 News at 6 continues.